Kyle is an unstoppable force. He can stay in combat without having to run like no other Descendant, thanks to his skills and passives. But these can be extremely confusing, so today we're going to talk about him. What's up Descendants, Bob here, and today we'll be showcasing Kyle. If you want to see more videos for the first Descendant, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you'd like to support me, I'll leave my Nexon creator code in the video description. I used to think that Kyle was one of the weakest Descendants in the game, but that's because I didn't understand how he actually works. I thought that Kyle was a diving Descendant and that he didn't have ways to get out of combat when he was in trouble. But the truth is that he doesn't even need to get out of combat because of his incredible amount of sustain. Now listen up Descendant, because Kyle is a very complex character and I want you to understand how he actually works. Let's start with his passive, Experienced Technician, and this passive gives Kyle Magnetic Force. Kyle does not have a mana bar, but instead he has this Magnetic Force bar. And this is where he stores the magnetic force that he acquires. The max capacity of magnetic force is our shield capacity times 200%. But when we are out of combat, we lose 1% per second. Also, when Kyle's energy shield is depleted, he gains Magnetic Care. And with Magnetic Care, Kyle recovers 80% of his energy shield and magnetic force in a span of 10 seconds, giving Kyle almost 2 energy shields instead of 1. But in most cases, his passive will only trigger once per fight, because it has a massive 300-second cooldown, so don't get too confident. Now for his first ability we have Repulsion Dash, and this is a great ability to get on your enemy's face. We have up to 3 charges of Repulsion Dash, and when you use the skill you dash forward 10 meters, and if you hit the enemy, you deal your skill power times 360.2% and recover 15% of our magnetic force, which is our max shield capacity times 30%. But since we have doubled the capacity for magnetic force, we divide this by 2. I know, it's a little bit confusing. And lastly, after we use Repulsion Dash, our defense increases by 150% for 5 seconds. And in a perfect scenario, you want to extend your defense buff to up to 15 seconds by spreading your dashes in 5-second intervals, making this ability very good for our increase in sustain. Next up is his second ability, Magnetic Bulwark. And similar to Ajax, we cast a barrier in front of us, but one of the key differences is that the Bulwark stays in front of Kyle. Magnetic Bulwark is a 2x3 meter shield wall with 50% of our max shield and 100% of your defense, that lasts for 8 seconds, and it recovers our magnetic force equivalent to the damage it receives. But to maintain it, we spend 5% of our energy shield per second. Now for his third ability we have Magnetism Sp. And with this ability we spend 2% magnetic force per second for 15 seconds. And when we get hit, instead of losing shield or health, we will lose magnetic force. Now when we spend all of our magnetic force, Kyle explodes on a 5 meter radius, dealing at base his skill power times 660.6%. And additionally, he will deal the damage proportion to his magnetic force spent, times 286.1%. And on top of that, when this ability ends, Kyle will recover his shield proportionally to whatever his allies have. With this ability, there is no Descendant that can even think about competing with Kyle to see who has more sustain. With Kyle's passive and Magnetism Sp, he pretty much has 3 energy shields instead of 1, making him an unstoppable force. And lastly, for Kyle's fourth ability we have Superconductivity Thrusters. And this is without a doubt the strongest burst damage skill in the entire game. With this ability, Kyle flies in the air for up to 6 seconds, and when he hits a target, he explodes on a 5 meter radius, dealing his skill power times 10,436.7%. And additionally, he consumes his magnetic force and does even more damage, dealing the magnetic force consumed times 4,719.8%. Like I said, this is easily the strongest burst damage skill in the entire game, and it is a great ability for bosses in Void Intercepts and Tactical Operation bosses. Kyle is probably the most misunderstood Descendant, and frankly he might actually be a great choice for a lot of people. He can be a great tank, but this tanking style is very different to Ajax. Ajax is more of a whole team tank with his barrier and cube skills, and he's great if you need to fight from a distance, because you can keep your whole team protected while fighting. But Kyle is a monster when it comes to sustain. He can jump into the fight and get all the aggro to keep his team safe, and he can keep fighting for what seems an eternity. But those are my thoughts on Kyle. Let me know how you feel about this Descendant in the comment section below. And that's Kyle's breakdown, Descendants. If you found it useful, please leave a like, it really helps out. Now let's take a look at his gameplay.
This place is somehow connected to the Ironheart. I'll know once I have the data. Descendant, unfortunately none of the Ancestors' data remains in this terminal. I will check the other terminals, but it seems the Vulgus were successful with their extraction.
That can't be right. If it were possible to fully extract the data, then the Magisters would have already done it.
Until recently, it would have been impossible for the Vulgus as well. However, if they have someone on their side who is very familiar...
Descendant, did you come here looking for me? Or did you come to witness the superior technology of the Vulgus? I am Greg, commander of the invading Vulgus forces. It is a shame that I am unable to face you directly.
Ready to go. Creating blockade.
This terminal also does not contain the Ancestors' data. However, Descendant, I sense the transmission of the Ancestors' data is happening close by. That is most likely where the enemy command center is located. As the enemy sealed off Kingston's network, transmitting data over a long distance would have been impossible. This means we still have an opportunity to retrieve the Ancestors' data.
And that's all for this video, Descendants. If it was entertaining or useful, please leave a like, it really helps out. And if you want to see more videos for the first Descendant, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Later.